detrimental loss in education for Ukraine's children. The Clinton Global Initiative is set to launch a network to provide humanitarian aid to Ukrainians. This is an annual conference underway in New York right now alongside the UN General Assembly. You just heard from actor Orlando Bloom. He is a Goodwill ambassador to UNICEF. Monday, he announced his personal commitment to raise $20 million to provide 50,000 laptops for school children in Ukraine. Late last month, we also told you that some kids have finally returned to school in person for the first time since the beginning of Russia's invasion. But it's not a school like you would think. They have been forced underground to learn in the city's subway system. The Clinton Global Initiative is also announcing today the Ukraine Action Network. It's a collaboration between former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton and Ukrainian First Lady Olena Zelenska. The new organization will create and finance commitments, new ones, for the people of Ukraine, supporting nonprofits that are already working in the country. Here to talk more about it, Axios Global Editor Laurin-Whitney Gottbrath. Thank you for being with us. This new Ukraine Action Network, meant to do good. Talk about the impact it will have and how immediate we'll start to see some of the change.
Yeah, well, I think the Clinton Global Initiative hopes to see sort of immediate change and also sort of long-term commitments for humanitarian groups in Ukraine, but also commitments for rebuilding and things like that. And what I think is important to note is I think a lot of humanitarian groups already in Ukraine will see this the launch of this action network, as well as additional commitments that we're seeing today and throughout the week as a signal that the world is not forgetting about Ukraine. And I think that's a big worry, particularly among Ukrainians, is that as this war drags out, there will be less and less support. And I think the announcement of this new organization and then other commitments really show that the world is not going to ignore or forget about what's happening in Ukraine.
Logistically speaking, what have been some of the challenges for these humanitarian groups that are operating in Ukraine to supply food and medicine and water and education?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Like, obviously, on the front lines, the war itself and the fighting presents a number of logistical issues, including just getting people help and also having sort of a stable network in which people can seek help. Obviously, in some of the other cities where they may not be seeing as much fighting, the war has completely disrupts every system in Ukraine. So, be it education, a lot of schools serve as bomb shelters, or if a school isn't equipped as a bomb shelter, like making sure that kids can get to one if need be. But also there are a lot of other challenges, including particularly for children, the mental health aspect of living in a war zone. And that's something that isn't going to go away for a while. So these groups are trying to provide help at every single level, but the biggest challenge is the needs are just incredibly great and big. And I think for these groups, they need as much support as they can get from the outside world to continue to do this work.
Yeah, they need help and they need hope. I look at these little faces wanting to learn, and in the midst of war, it's so hard to do so. It's basic necessities, right, day to day. How about staffing? I mean, do they have the teachers they need, educators who are available to fill those roles?
I think the answer to that is yes and no. I mean, obviously, there are a lot of teachers that did stay behind and didn't flee, obviously, in the cities that aren't seeing, the conflict up front. Folks are still there, but obviously in other areas, particularly areas that have either had to evacuate or even in the capital, in Kyiv, a lot of people left, including teachers. And unfortunately, that has an impact on how kids are able to learn. But I do think there are a lot of teachers there trying to do their best and also are trying to stay connected with their children that they've taught, even if they've also left Ukraine too. And I think a lot of it has to do with trying to provide some sense of normalcy and security for kids who are living in a war zone.
Yeah, and thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.